This is Lecture 2 in Module 1. Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you about a concept called backwards design. Some of you may have heard about the instructional design process called backwards design. If you have, that's great. I look forward to talking to you a little bit about in the discussion phase of this course. If you haven't, I hope you learned something. I hope you begin to adopt it as a philosophy of course design like I have. I want to talk to you a little bit about what backwards design has done for my career. I began to work in online learning in 2005, and although I was called an instructional designer, I was working more as in the capacity of an ed tech, where faculty would bring me their quizzes, and I would convert it to online, or I would take their assignments and convert it to online, just put it in online, and they're into their learning management system. And I would take publisher content and put it into our online learning management system. And so what we were trying to do was modify face-to-face instruction for online. And so in 2007, I was introduced to backwards design, and I began to look at what we were doing with online learning in a new perspective. And so it took me into a level of thinking about our programs and how they work in conjunction with our courses and in conjunction with online learning. And so I began to think about designing curriculum and planning instruction with programmatic results in mind and course results in mind. And so although I'm not going to get too far into programmatic desired results and stuff like that, it is important that we keep those things in mind when we design courses. And so with that being said, let's just jump in and learn a little bit about what backwards design is. Backwards design is a three-part process where the first process is where we identify the desired results that we want our students to have. And we determine acceptable evidence of learning. And once we've done that, then we begin to plan our learning experiences and our instruction. The first process of identifying the desired results can begin with questioning of yourself and your colleagues, and by saying, what do we want students to know, and what should our students understand, and what should they be able to accomplish? And you can even think about your goals and your objectives, your program objectives, and your objectives in your course, and that can be a driving force in the decisions that you make. Okay. I'd like for you to take a look at this graphic. If this is your developmental plan for designing courses, instead of developing assessment at the end of the development process, if you'll move it up after learning objectives, it's in this way that we take what we want our students to learn into account as we develop the other items in our courses. What that means is if you're currently designing by taking your objectives and thinking about the methodology of online learning and putting activities into those courses, and then using various materials to get to assessment, then you're going about it wrong. Assessment should be driving the materials and the activities that you use and the preparation that you make for assessing your students. And so I just want to throw that out there to you. Bring assessment up further, closer to let them drive the process of creating authentic assessment in your class. And speaking of authentic assessment, the second phase in backwards design is determining acceptable evidence of learning. And so how will you know? Well, how will you know if your students have achieved the desired results that you want as proof of acceptable evidence of learning? Wow, that's a mouthful. Will it be through the use of authentic assessment? If you will look at this slide, authentic assessment determines an acceptable evidence of learning. Or you could say, by determining what acceptable evidence of learning is in your course, you can create acceptable, authentic. You can create authentic. You can create authentic assessment. Oh boy, that's a mouthful. And so they work hand in hand and they were equal to each other. Authentic assessment determines acceptable, what is an acceptable evidence of learning. And so you may be asking yourself, what is authentic assessment? And so the ultimate question is, what assessment activity can I adopt to determine if students have attained the highest level of learning possible? That's an authentic form of assessment. Okay? When they have achieved the highest learning possible, bingo, authentic assessment has happened. And so, what is the highest desired level of learning? Well, there's some strategies or theories out there that can help inform us, and one of those is Bloom's taxonomy. I like it because it gives roadmaps to what we can do as teachers to help our students get to authentic assessment and authentic learning. Bloom's taxonomy is one place to start thinking about authentic forms of assessment. The action words at the top of this list should be a teacher's desired level of student demonstration of learning. So I want my students to be able to construct. I want my students to be able to create and design. I also want them to be able to discuss. Discussing is a major part of online learning, and I want them to be able to debate what they're doing. And I even have put in my discussion rubric debate tactics and try to get my students to debate with an online course. And so your higher levels on the pyramid should be the desired authentic assessment levels that you're creating or getting to. I teach online, and so I teach with technology a lot, I should say, and so much of the time I could use Bloom's digital pyramid as a way to teach with technology. There are many free and available tools out there that will help you align Bloom's taxonomy with your content. There's Bloom's taxonomy of sociology, history, math, etc. And so I'd like for you to take a moment and reflect about what tools you could use in your course to fall within Bloom's taxonomy and the highest levels of learning. All right, so the third and last process in backwards design is you will be planning learning experiences and instruction, and questions can help with that. You know, questions of what enabling knowledge and skills will students need in order to perform effectively and achieve the desired results I'm looking for? What activities can I adopt that will equip students with the needed knowledge and skills I believe they need? In light of my learning objectives, what will I need to teach, and how will it be best done to reach these performance goals? What materials and resources are best suited to accomplish these goals? The specifics of instructional planning, i.e., choices about teaching methods, sequence of lessons, and resource materials can be successfully completed only after we identify desired results and assessments and consider what they imply. Teaching is a means to an end. Having a clear goal helps to focus our planning and guides purposeful action toward the intended result. So, what does that say? It says that we start with assessment and we decide on the acceptable levels or acceptable evidence of learning, and then we plan our learning experiences and instruction around that. So just to wrap it up, I'm going to read that last sentence to you one more time because it is the topic of the whole presentation. Choices about teaching and methods, sequence of learning, resources and resource materials can be successfully completed only after we identify the desired results and assessments and consider what they imply. Um, that is backwards design in a nutshell. I hope that you begin to think about assessing your students before you gather materials, before you prepare, and such. What do I want my students to know? How am I going to assess it appropriately at the highest level and to get to their desired highest level of learning? Okay, so that's backwards design. There's some resources in the Module 1 resource tab that will give you a lot more information about backwards design. I have added a little article here as your assigned reading materials for the module, and I'm not going to keep you any longer. You have a great day, and I'll see you in Module 2.